if you feel like you're in a season of isolation right now and you are being removed from the people that you've been around for previous seasons, then I believe that this video is for you. My name is Olivia Thompson. This is Daily Encouragement, and I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm not in my normal setup. I'm in my car, but I felt like this was important to share. It's something that I'm personally going through, but I'm getting a new perspective and revelation on it, and I believe that it's for you guys as well. So when we think about wilderness seasons, we usually think of them as a hard time in our lives. We think about it as God isolating us from the world. Sometimes we're challenged in our minds with what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what we're perceiving about ourselves and about God and about people. It seems like we don't fit where we previously did. We're not able to connect with people on the same level we used to. And it seems like even the places we are going and the communities we are a part of, we are still somehow separated from them in our spirit, in our internal place. And so I wanted to speak to you and encourage you, because even Jesus was called away into a wilderness with the Father, a place of testing, and he had to use truth to combat the enemy and his lies and what he was tempting him with in the wilderness. And if Jesus had to go through it, then it's likely that you will also have to go through it, and I will have to go through it to prepare us for where God is taking us. So I want to encourage you, be excited, be encouraged. If you are finding yourself removed from previous places and people, do not see it as a hard thing entirely, because although there's hardship and there's testing in it, it's also a place of preparation. It's a place where God wants to pull you into greater intimacy with him. So if right now you feel like you have nothing and no one, you may be in a better place than you think, because God might be asking you, inviting you to come into a more intimate place with him. So I would ask you, what are you doing with your time? Where are you spending your time? Where are you spending your energy? Because in the Bible, it says in Galatians that we will reap whatever we sow. So in this time, in this wilderness, the temptation for you may be to distract yourself, maybe to find other places of comfort and peace and ease, even if that's not with other people. So notice what those tendencies are and refuse to sow into your flesh. Choose to sow into the Spirit in this time. If you are being called away, if you have this extra time and you're away from people, sow into the Spirit, because there are seeds you can plant right now that will produce an amazing harvest if you sow into the Spirit. So do not allow the isolation, do not allow this place of testing to be an excuse to sow into your flesh, but see it as a time to sow into the Spirit realm, sow into the things of God that are going to draw you closer to him and that are going to work on those areas in your spirit and your soul that God wants to purify, and he wants to prepare you for greater things. If you are in this wilderness season, it's not for nothing. It is ordained by God, and the enemy could try to come into your wilderness and tempt you and plant lies and cause you to plant seeds that are not good. But recognize that the wilderness can also be a beautiful place of intimacy with God. It does not have to all be testing ground. It's also a place where God's inviting you into greater intimacy, where he's drawing you away from people that would distract you. He's drawing you away from the world so that you can be with him. So see it as an invitation to be with him and to plant those seeds that will produce a beautiful harvest. It's not meant to destroy you. This wilderness season is meant to build you and prepare you for something more. So ask God what that means for you personally. Ask him what the seeds are that you can sow into the Spirit with your time. Ask him how he's preparing you for the future seasons of your life, because this wilderness stage is not for nothing. It is ordained. It is purposeful. And we often hear wilderness seasons as talked about so negatively, like, oh, I can't wait to get out of my wilderness season into the promised land. But the wilderness season can also be a beautiful, beautiful invitation from God. And without it, we're not ready for the promised land. We're not ready for the things he brings into our lives. If God has something on the horizon for you, he has to prepare you for it. He has to purify your giftings. He has to purify your heart, your motives, your ways of thinking, purging and strip you of all of the things that are unhealthy about who you are. And if we see it as a beautiful process and we embrace it, then we can find the beauty and the intimacy with God in the wilderness. We don't have to wait for the promised land to experience that fullness of joy and peace, and even the beauty of being purified. It doesn't all have to be negative, but we can have extreme joy and fulfillment in the purification process and submitting to God in that process. And I would encourage you to pray this prayer that I pray. I pray that my character would match my calling, that my character and my spirit would match the calling that God has placed on my life. I do not want what I do for God to destroy me because my motives are wrong, my character is not ready for what He's bringing my way. I would rather be in the secret place with God, hidden away, ministering unto Him anyway, and being purified so that I can handle the calling and the purposes that He's placed on my life. So if you're in the wilderness right now, if you are separated, just know God is preparing you for more. He has a high calling on your life. The wilderness is a place of intimacy and excitement and preparation. So pray and ask God how He's drawing you closer to Himself and what work He's doing internally to prepare you for what's to come. It's not for nothing. And there is a promised land. There are promises yet to be fulfilled. But this place is also divine. It is a place that God has brought you to for a reason. And it doesn't have to all be hard. It can be beautiful and it can be rewarding because you're doing this dance with God. You're doing this dance set apart with God. You're in a waltz with Him, and He wants you for Himself, and He is purposefully drawn you away from the crowds to be with Him, just like Jesus with the Father in His own wilderness. And so go through this testing process with grace, with purpose, and see the beauty in it instead of it just being a struggle, and instead of having that contentment and that peace in this process, wishing for it to be over. You won't get these seasons of your life back. You won't get this season of separation unto God back. It's not guaranteed. So this season, just go unto the Father, minister unto Him. Make it your aim to minister to Him first and to be in that waltz with Him, and watch how He prepares you and what He does for what's to come. Love you guys so much.